person titled Rochelle's iPad. Is that Kurt Justice?
Can you hear us now, Chris?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is Kurt Justice.
Kurt? Okay,
Yes,
I'm going to
I'm on
rename you.
Rochelle's. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. So if you can mute yourself and turn off your camera. Actually, we have a minute if you want to test out your camera.
I don't know that we need the camera, do we?
It's up to you.
Okay, but the mute button, I'm looking for it on the screen.
It should be at the bottom left-hand side.
Oh, it's up here. Okay, yeah. So here. Okay.
Thank you. Welcome to the May 2nd, 2024 Wisconsin Natural Resources Board meeting. Chair Smith, please bring the meeting to order.
Good morning and welcome to our May 2nd, 2024 special meeting of the Natural Resources Board. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll now call our hybrid meeting of the Wisconsin Natural Resources Board to order. Most of our presenters are all on Zoom today, and I'd ask for everybody's patience and flexibility as communications often has a slight delay and we tend to overtalk one another. I'm going to try and slow down my pace a little bit in running the meeting, and hopefully we'll minimize the amount of overlap that we run into, but please be patient and we'll work our way through it. I also want to mention that a couple of brief administrative reminders for everyone to turn off their phones, electronic devices that might interrupt the meeting. And when you're on audio live, please try and keep the background noise minimized so we don't have a lot of disruption. The meetings are televised via YouTube, and I want to welcome and thank all of our viewers for the meeting today. Records of our meetings are also available on the DNR website. I want to take just a second and explain a little why we're having a special meeting today. Staff have come forward with a recommendation that would, for review by the board, and this recommendation could potentially impact the 2024 open water sport fishing season, which opens this weekend. So time is very short, and I felt it very important that we have a clear board decision made prior to the season, and it would give staff the opportunity to implement that decision as soon as possible. So in saying that, the only appearances that we're going to take or the input is specific to action item 2A, which is the staff recommendation for this emergency rule. There will be no open forum today as it's a special meeting. And for people that wish to appear before the board under open forum, I would suggest you look forward to the next regularly scheduled board meeting, which is scheduled for May 22nd. And we'll see you then. Before we start, I also want to give a very special thanks to Deputy Secretary Stephen Little and your staff team that has worked on very short notice to put this special meeting together. We very much appreciate your time and your support. Thank you. Board members, any questions or comments? After a long pause and hearing none, Ashley, please call the roll.
Sure. Paul Burr. Patty Schachner.
Present.
Doug Cox.
Here.
Deb
I'm here.
Dasso. Robin Schmidt.
Present.
Marcy West.
Present.
And Bill Smith.
Present.
We have a
I
quorum.
appreciate everybody's time and ability to make the meeting, and I will recognize that we have a quorum. With that, we'll move on to item 1B, which is approval of the agenda for our May 2nd, 2024 special meeting. At this time, it'd be appropriate to either request a motion or suggest an amendment to the special meeting agenda.
I'll move approval. Marcy West.
Okay, Marcy moves approval. Is there a second?
Patty Schachner, I'll second.
Patty offers a second. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have an agenda. Thank you. Next item is action item 2A, which is a request that the board adopt Emergency Board Order FH 0324E, proposed rules affecting Chapter 20 related to Minocqua Chain of Lakes walleye harvest regulations. Scott Lumens, Policy Initiatives Advisor, will give us the details. Scott?
Okay, good morning, Chair Smith. Thank you for having us, Deputy Secretary Little, and members of the board. I will share my PowerPoint screen and move on to this, the second slide, our standard first slide. We are here today to adopt the rule, the scope statement for which you approved it at your April meeting. And just a brief review of the rule. Let's see. So this, I have the Minocqua chain on your screen, and the three largest lakes, Kawasaga, Minocqua, and the Tomahawk lakes are at the bottom, but it's 7 lakes overall and includes connecting waters. And the adult walleye population and natural reproduction on the chain had experienced a substantial decline since the 1990s, and of course low recruitment of young fish into the population is what was happening, the cause of which we're not entirely certain. So there has been a catch and release only season for walleye as part of a cooperative rehabilitation project that seeks to restore self-sustaining populations. So the adult walleye population is actually in good shape currently, but it is the natural reproduction that we hadn't been seeing and that people were hoping would return to the chain. So this is the last year of that catch and release season. Harvest was set by rule to start again in 2025. So earlier this year, the Lac du Flambeau Band declared their intent to harvest walleye on the chain. And so that is why we're able to have a rule prepared for you today on such short notices. We did have some advance notice. And there was tribal spring harvest on the chain last week, April 26 and 27. So knowing that, it is appropriate to allow harvest by state licensed anglers as soon as practical. If you approve a rule today, we anticipate that it can be in effect late next week. The harvest strategy or the regulation that we're proposing is one that fisheries uses when the goal is rehabilitation of a walleye fishery. So that's still the goal for this fishery. It's a regulation that is in place on a couple other lakes in that county. It's one standard regulation type from Fisheries Toolbox for this purpose. And that is a one fish daily bag limit, an 18-inch minimum length limit, and then there's a protected slot from 22 to 28 inches, and those fish may not be kept. And that's a brief presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And I'll note that we do have our Fisheries Bureau Director with us today, Justine Haas, and she is up to date on the surveys that have been going on this spring and the management of that very important fishery.
Are there any questions for Scott for clarity on his presentation? I would note that we have one appearance scheduled for today, and if there aren't any immediate questions, I suggest we move to the appearance and then have further board questions and discussion following that. Are there any immediate questions from the board? Hearing none, let's move to our first and only appearance. And this is Kurt Justice. Kurt, are you available?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, we hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay.
We try and limit comments to around 3 minutes, so I will keep track of that. And if we get to the end, please bring your comments to closure at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Chairman Smith and Deputy Secretary Steve Little and all the memberships of the board for bringing this agenda so speedily to attention. As a member of the Headwaters chapter of Walleyes for Tomorrow that organized this between the state, kind of a partnership with the state and the tribe, and our club and Glyphwick to trying to repair the walleye issue. We felt real strongly about this. We worked very hard, and obviously, as Scott said, we did not achieve our goal of natural rehabilitation yet, which we feel is very important. But we also realize the pressure on the system now that the tribe has declared and speared the lake that we're going to see a big push from the public to open up the fishery. And so our stance is at this point that we are in favor of advancing and moving the walleye fishery opener on the Minocqua chain, and we agree with the regulations that the DNR has set. That's pretty much all I can add. Like I say, the only other thing I could add, and I don't know if it's of any significance, we had hoped that this was going to be a blueprint for us to be able to help fix other lakes, and so far we still don't have all the answers. But we thank you for all the help from all the partners that helped us to get this far. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. And at this time, I'd also like to just recognize you and thank you and Walleyes chapter for Walleyes for Tomorrow in the partnership that you've encouraged locally, and frankly, the progress that's been made in at least restoring walleye numbers and size structure to the lake chain. And hopefully those walleyes will start doing their thing naturally here sooner rather than later. So thank you very much for that. Are there questions from the board for Kurt?
Just one, Chairman, if I could.
Go ahead, Marcy.
Kurt, thank you for your testimony. Could you just touch on a bit on the work, if the work is also happening on the habitat improvement side as well as the release?
Yeah, some of the work we've done has been to augment some of the spawning habitat our club has. We just had a meeting last night, and we're talking. We realized that habitat is more than just the walleye spawning and walleye stocking, that it also includes the things that these fish need to live their lives. And one of them is perch is a very important portion of the life cycle for walleyes. So we're actually been talking again last night. We're working on doing some tree drops. They call them fish sticks or whatever you want to call them, to help perch spawning habitat. We did see an uptick recently in our nets for perch, but we're looking for any kind of information we can, whatever our group can do to help support natural reproduction, which means obviously something to do with the habitat of the lake itself. We don't have any answers to why we're having such issues. Seems to be on several places up north. And yeah, we're doing what we can. You know, we're a citizen organization, so we raise as much money as we can, and we're very vested in this operation, and not just for the Minocqua chain, but throughout our northern counties up here, as far as walleye habitat and walleye reproduction and improvement. So I hope I answered your question.
You did. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that, and I know Justine is on, so I think there's some good research going on, and I assume that in that partnership that all comes through. Thank you.
Other questions from the board? I'll mention to the board, I haven't got everybody's box on my screen. I can't see everybody, so the raise hand emblem isn't going to pop up on my screen for everybody. So if you would just interrupt verbally over audio, and we'll sort it out and give everybody a chance to ask questions and participate. Are there any other questions from the board?
Chair Smith, this is Robin. I want to thank Scott for the presentation at our last board meeting, where there was discussion about the Minocqua Chain of Lakes, and I just wanted to give him an opportunity to just reiterate that the harvest numbers and the opening of this fishery is not going to have a detrimental effect to the walleyes that are there. It will still be protective of the fish to the extent that we can. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yes, it is. And we do, I know Justine was talking about that yesterday with somebody else, and I heard her give a good explanation. Would the chair like to hear from Justine on that?
Well, first, I want to ask the board if they have other questions for Kurt while we still have him on video audio, and then we'll move into broader discussion with staff. Are there any other questions for Kurt before we move on to staff discussion?
Mr. Chair, Kurt has his hand raised.
Is that okay?
All right.
Is that okay?
Kurt? Yeah.
So I should have added.
See the hand on your box. Some of the board members just aren't showing up. My screen's not big enough.
Okay. So sorry, I should have added this before. With the just so that the board understands that the way the rules work, because this is considered a stocked fishery, and maybe Justine's going to talk about that, the tribal take is limited than it would be if it was a natural resource, naturally reproducing body of water. And with this limited harvest, it gives the anglers a chance to harvest fish. We get a lot of pushback that people wanted the fish, but this gives them an opportunity to do a little bit of harvest, but at the same time, hopefully we can keep that population up where that they can continue to press forward and hopefully start to reproduce and take care of themselves. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kurt. And as long as you mention that, this would be a good time for me to also mention that we received 2 written comments on this rule proposal from the area. One individual that was in favor of the staff recommendation to open a limited harvest to the sport fishery, and another letter that went into great detail about the benefits of continuing a catch and release walleye fishery on at least some of the lakes in the chain for a longer period. And what I'd like to state on the record here is that request is really outside the parameters and the extent of this particular emergency rule. And if people have an interest in that catch and release fishery, I would recommend that they work with local staff and with their local Conservation Congress members on the normal rulemaking process and allow for a broader public dialogue on that before bringing it forward as a rule. So thank you for that. Any other questions of Kurt? Kurt, again, thank you very much for your partnership and thanks for your appearance. Very helpful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, back to questions of staff. Robin, you asked the last question, and I think Justine was about ready to answer that. So if we could go back to that and pick it up there.
Thank you, Chair Smith, Deputy Secretary Little, and members of the board. Just for clarity, I'm Justine Haz, the Bureau Director for the Fisheries Management Program. And so, Robin, I believe your question was whether there's really a fishable population here and whether there's harm by opening the fishery. And so this is the same regulation we use, as Scott mentioned before, called a rehabilitation regulation. And we use it on populations where we still believe there is a fishable population, but that fishable population should be limited. And so that is why it's the one bag limit and that very small size range that can be harvested. The one other thing to note about this fishery, and I think Kurt just mentioned it as well, is that this is, currently considered a stocked fishery because it is not being supported by natural reproduction. We have several fisheries that we have like that across the state, and we still consider those fishable, but we try to limit the harvest there as well, especially when we're trying to rebuild them. We don't believe that this regulation will have a significant impact on the population from what we're trying to reach with our goals for this population, but still gives our anglers an opportunity to have some harvest.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you and Kurt both for all the work that you guys have done on these lakes and so many other lakes. And I just think it's important to have on the record kind of that understanding. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Other questions for staff?
This is Patty. I do have a question. Can you explain to me why the natural reproduction is such a problem in this area?
Sure. Do you want me to take that, Scott?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Patty, that is the $1 million question we have been trying to answer. And we don't have all the answers. There's definitely it's not one thing. It is definitely multiple things. The trends of warming waters definitely has a significant impact on the success of walleye eggs to hatch, as well as for the fish to survive. Kurt just mentioned food as a source. So the changes in food bases in some of these waters is also a component, and this is through all their life stages. They eat different things as they're very small. They're eating plankton and very small things, and as they get bigger, they eat fish. And some parts of that diet are missing. There's also loss of habitat. So walleye need very specific size rock to lay their eggs on, and as shorelines get developed, that habitat is lost. So that is also a component. So we've not been able to nail down just one thing that is causing this in this system, but we are continuing to work on both this system, and there are 4 other lakes in the area that have the same regulation that we're seeing very similar things with the natural reproduction, to really try to come up with a mechanism to reverse this, if so that natural reproduction does occur. And so not only does fisheries management work on this, but our Office of Applied Science, our researchers, as well as we're working with external researchers throughout the UW system to help get us answers to answer that question.
Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, it may be time for a motion.
Chair Smith, I would move to approve this emergency rule for the opening of the harvest per the regulations that it contains.
Thank you. Robin moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second, Deb Dasso.
Deb seconds. Any further discussion, comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote just so we can document both visually and through audio the board's vote on this. Be a little cumbersome taking a group vote, I think, over the Zoom. Ashley, would you call the roll for a vote on this motion to approve?
Paul Burr,
Aye.
Patty Schachner,
Yes.
Doug Cox,
I vote in favor.
Deb Dasso,
Yes.
Robin Schmidt,
Yes.
Marcy West,
Yes.
and Bill Smith.
Yes, we have unanimous approval of the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank everybody for their ability to appear and put this meeting together on short notice. And with that, I'd request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Marcy moves to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Patty seconds the motion. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Good day, everybody.
Everybody.